about Mr. Sanzillo, who comes to us very highly recommended from the Sierra Club National Coal Campaign, or of course the anti-coal campaign, because we don't like coal. You'll get that. From 1990 to 2007, Tom Sanzillo served in senior management positions to the publicly elected chief financial officers of New York City and New York State. As first deputy controller for the state of New York from 2003 to 2007, Tom was responsible for a $150 billion globally invested public pension fund, oversight of state and local budgets and debt offerings, audit programs for all state agencies, public authorities, and local governments, review and approval of state contracts. He also spearheaded important reform efforts regarding the management and operation of public authorities and the use of public debt for mass transit financing, public power governance, contracting, budgeting, rate setting, and hospital financing. In his 30 years as a government official or a non-for-profit director, Tom has published on housing, environment, energy, transportation, public health, health financing, poverty, race relations, public assistance, economic development, job training, public debt, pension fund financing, public sector management, and so on and so on. So he's a rather well-written and well-read gentleman with a great breadth of information about state governments. Without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Sanzillo.
If I speak at this level, can you hear me in the back? Yeah? Okay. What is? Hello? Yes? This one? Hello?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming, and I want to thank the New York City Sierra Club for inviting me. When I worked as a government official, and part of the reason that I agreed to come tonight is you often don't have friends on the outside. You often have all kinds of... get closer to it?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll hold it. You often have folks coming that you're skeptical of, and you can't trust, and you don't know what they're going to do with the public interest. Whenever I had the Sierra Club come in, I always knew that that the message was going to come from the grassroots of the environmental movement, and it was definitely worth listening to and supporting, and I tried to do that over the years. So I was glad, and I've been working with the National Sierra Club for the last year or so. Just a little bit about what I've been up to. Since I left the state government, I've been doing consulting work, trying to do consulting work for progressive causes in the country, and I got involved with this. I got involved with the anti-coal campaign as a consulting work, and they've adopted me, and I've kind of adopted them, and so this is the result of that. I want to just start off by way of introduction with a quote from an old Russian philosopher. And the quote is, "One need not have hope to persevere." Now, in my time in working in political causes, I sometimes have hope and have them dashed, and then just run on perseverance. Today, as I look around, I have two reasons when looking at the anti-coal fight for hope, two rays of hope, I guess I would call it. And the first is, despite the fact that the economy is turned down, I think it's a little ray of hope that we have an administration in Washington that at least is saying that the way out of our economic troubles is a green economy, not the cause of our economic troubles. And the second ray of hope I have, which is something that Tom just alluded to, is that maybe we have an opportunity to have science have its proper role in the creation of public policy in this country, as opposed to ideology and religion, which has sort of been the major thing for the last few years. That seems to have drifted in. Thank you. So in case these hopes get dashed, we have some an organizing vehicle that can help with the fight against coal plants and the larger fight against global warming. My talk here today is going to go very briefly on what Tom's probably going to talk about next month, the science. So I will mangle it, Tom, but I'm trying to do it quickly, and I'm not a scientist as well as him, but I just wanted to set that out there. The second point I want to talk about is how the coal industry is responding to these public policy debates, and then what the Sierra Clubs and groups around the country are doing about it, including challenging on an environmental grounds, and also, which is part of the reason that they've employed me, is to discuss the financial fallacies behind coal and the use of fossil fuels for the production of energy in the country. And then finally, a bit about the agenda going forward in 09, and then what we would like to try to start in New York City. So the science, many of you may be aware of, but it goes something like this. The person who I rely on for a lot of the science when I have to do any kind of expert testimony, whatever, is Dr. James Hansen, who, if you don't know about him, you should Google him, go through his work. I'm sure you'll agree with most of it. I'm sure you may challenge some of it. The piece that I look at is something that he wrote called Target Atmospheric CO2, Where Should Humanity Aim? In that particular document and in his other presentations, he lays out what is essentially a history of energy production and what it's doing to the environment. The burning of coal, gas, and oil. Historically, which he starts at about 1750 for the purposes of our period, our understanding, and all of the burning that has occurred since then has created near dangerous levels of CO2 in the atmosphere. And we're at a crossroads now. If we continue and burn all the world's oil and gas, I think he would argue that we're approaching danger, but we can probably get by with other management techniques. If we burn coal, it puts us over the top, and it's very, very dangerous if we do what I'm about to describe that the industry has in mind. It creates atmospheric levels of CO2 that will propel any number of disasters, environmental disasters. And when people are asking you, may ask you, well, when is this going to occur? We're looking at large-scale changes in the atmosphere. Predicting that is impossible, but the signs are all around us. And if you look at what Hansen and other people around the country are doing in the area, the signs are quite compelling. And we use this in our organizing work because it is rare when scientific findings make policy choices crystal clear to us. And when you read Dr. Hansen and some of the other folks who are publishing on the topic, it is clear that we can no longer sustain the use of coal in the production of electricity.